I remember at home there was this camping caravan. So I'd go to that caravan to smoke the glue. Kitsube, kitsube, kitsube. So like when I start hallucinating, I remember there was this day where I saw like all the girls from school, all the girls from hostel, they were at my home and they were in bikinis and bras. Like it was some like pool party vibes, you see. Like, and I open that door, I come out like, and I'm walking like a king, man. It was crazy. Oh yeah, hello, ladies and gentlemen, Barato. Welcome back to another episode of Moyake Ode podcast with Mashao Sedibeng. Let me start by thanking our Lord God Almighty for making it possible for us to reach yet another episode. And I believe that this platform is going to be one of the greatest platforms globally that will impact your life and motivate people to do better in their lives across the world. I'll keep on reminding you this so that when it happens, you know that, Uvleji, he said it. So I thank you for tuning in at this time of humble beginnings. You know, one thing that I've learned about life is that family is not only about blood. You know, as we grow, as we get to know people, we get to meet people who are family to us, not because we are related or somehow. They are just family. So today I'm dressed by Lamoy Emporium Clothing. It's a beautiful brand, fashion designer that you can go to for any of your weddings, clothing or whatever clothing. I got this some time back from my sister Seskolo, the founder of Lamoy. So shout out to Lamoy Emporium Clothing. So what is my word of encouragement to you today? You know, I think in life, if you put God first in all that you do, you are definitely going to see God lead your life. God is going to lead you because one thing about God, He knows tomorrow, He knows where we come from, He even knows where we are today. So you might find yourself losing friends, losing opportunities, like things not going according to how you wish they could go. But because you have put God first, you have made Him be the driver of your life. You made Him lead you. So He's taking you to the right direction. Sometimes you might feel like it's difficult. Sometimes you might feel like you are not going to the right direction. I want to assure you, as long as you made sure that you put Him first in everything that you do, just know that everything that happens is for your best. You are losing friends, you are losing people around you, it's for your greatest. You are losing opportunities, it's for your best because He knows what's going to happen even after 20 years. You know, in life, people change, situations change as well. And the things that we love today, tomorrow we might end up no longer feeling like we love them. So it's only God who knows that. So just put your life in His hands. Let Him direct you. Let Him lead you. What are we talking about today? As I promised you last week, this week is my birthday on the 10th of November. I'll be turning 30 years. So it's a great milestone in my life. And I really thank God for the gift of life and all the experiences that I've went through from my childhood until today. So today, I just want to reflect from myself as a toddler. I don't know, ke gopola go fihla kae, but everything that I get to remember I'll be able to share with you. Although, like 30 years, it's a lot of time. I cannot be able to share everything that was happening each and every day, but I'll be sharing the things that I believe you can learn as a young child, as a teenager, as someone who's raising kids. You can be able to learn. Raising teenagers, you'll be able to learn. In your 20s, you'll be able to learn from my life as an adult as well. You'll be able to learn. So, where do I start? It's super amazing. I'm excited actually. Let me start. When do you start to be conscious? When do you start to be self-aware? I think with me, I just remember when I was a little boy playing at home, being that little child to my parents. And there came a time where I have to start going to school. I have to go to the crèche, to the preschool. That was one of the most challenging part, I think, for every child. When they took us to school, we cried. We didn't want to go to school. So now when I reflect, I think that thing is still affecting us even today, which is comfort zone. We were comfortable with staying at home, just eating, sleeping, crying, playing, or one. So now when it's time for you to change, as people, we are not comfortable with change. And it started when we were still very, very, very young. We are not good with change. Even now, if you have to move to a different city or you have to move to a different job, it's always difficult. So I think it started there. And one of the things that I reflect as a kid at the crèche, at the preschool, you know, we get used to go to school, you are comfortable, and then later on, we are surprised when a kid does not want to go to school anymore. We experienced a lot of bullying. You know, in my crèche, what we used to do, like there were a lot of sponge mattresses. So if you are sleeping and others are playing, they'll come with those mattresses, those sponges. They put a lot of them on top of you and they all jump there and play on top of you. You will suffocate and struggle. That's a high level of bullying. It can kill you. Other things that boys used to do, like you find four boys walking, like hugging each other like this. As they walk, they are singing this song. They be like, "Ge re tlhakana le wena re faka butsu, faka." Like they simply means that if we come across you, you are on our way, we're gonna kick you. We're gonna give you a boot and a veil. Like they come across you, they kick you. So things like that, those were our struggles when we were at the crèche, when we were at the preschool. And parents are surprised. The next day, you don't want to go to school. Why? Because you're being bullied in different ways. Teachers, people who are teaching kids at those crèches, others are bullies. They treat these kids very bad. So those things traumatized us, and we didn't want to go back to school the next day. That's why today we have a lot of dropouts. That's why today we have a lot of people who just choose to abscond from their workplaces, because there's the same trauma that we received as kids. We're still receiving it as adults. So that's something that I'm reflecting, and I look back and I feel like it's affecting our lives today. And those are the things that we need to deal with as a society. But something that I like about the kids today, you know, Banava know, like, our kids are very smart. They do talk. They will tell you, or teacher so and so is beating us at school. Teacher so and so said this to me. Some kids said these things to me, and it's not treating me good. Like they are very communicating kids of today. I think they're not going to have like the traumas that we had during our times. But as they grow, we'll get to hear from them what kind of traumas that they are having. But I believe that it's going to be different because kids today, you tell them that do not use a cell phone while you are eating. If they see you eating while using a cell phone, they'll be like, but you said I must not use a cell phone while I'm eating. Why are you doing the same? That's what I love about kids today. That's the difference between us back in the days. We were not able to speak out, and it was killing a lot of us. So you can share your experiences if you are 30-year-old or you're just an older person. As a toddler growing up, when you started being self-aware, what are the things that you can teach people about your life? This was what I went through as a young boy at that stage. Then when we moved from the preschool, from the crèche, now we are moving to the primary. I think we always see videos when it's back to school. You'll see kids dressed properly in uniform and they are throwing themselves down, they're crying and things like that. It's another problem of struggling to adapt. They were comfortable at the preschool, at the crèche. Now for them to move to grade one, to move to the primary school, it's very difficult for them. And I think I also had the same struggle. So those are the things that we need to reflect and be able to learn from when we were still young. We struggled to adapt. So now moving to primary, when I moved to the primary, it was a bit hard for me because in the area where I was raised at a village called Mountain View near Boyne. So in that area, there is a lot of Spanish speaking people. So in my family, we are Balobedu, Reaba Kilobedu, Regwarebo Lobedu, Ibranaba Kosimujaji, Onesabula. So I felt a lot of discrimination because people from where we come from, Balobedu people, we were not many in that community. There were a lot of Spadi speaking people. It's all it all falls under Spadi, but Kilobedi is a dialect. It's a language on its own, but both people can be able to hear each other very well. It's not that difficult. But I felt discriminated, and that made me to be shy, not being able to express myself for who I am. Because you find that with my friends, we are playing and things like that. When I speak, my voice sometimes can be like I have some things here. I remember this other girl saying to me that "Wa bolela ka rona le masepa mo mogolong." Like they were simply saying that it's like I have shit on my throat. Like that really affected me. And I still remember the girl who said that to me. I still remember like her voice very clearly, but it's not a trauma. It's not a trauma. Like I'm okay with it, but those were the things that were making it very difficult for some of us to be comfortable. We were highly discriminated. I think that's why I'm passionate about the unity, because I know how to be treated as as an outsider in a place whereby you belong. I was born and raised there. We going to crèche together. We went to primary together, went to high school, and being raised at a place like that, whereby you are not originally from there. At home, Rabaklobedu, at the streets, Rabela Spade. So I was able to multitask and learning it from the childhood. So that takes me to the point whereby things like xenophobia, things like racism. Racism is taught. Usually, people will tell you that racism is taught because the same way we were discriminated in that community as Balobedu speaking people, I think that's how we discriminate our fellow brothers from Nigeria, from Zimbabwe, from Mozambique here in South Africa. We see them like they're not like us. Like we feel like we are way better than them and we treat them in a bad way. That thing is really bad. And I think we were taught that from the younger age. Even now, when we grow, people continue doing that. Like people will say machakan, referring to the Tsonga speaking people, referring to the vendor people, people from Mozambique and Zimbabwe, like Maina Otwana Lebo Makwerekwe, things like that. Like we undermine them because of where they come from. So I think it's something that when I reflect, I feel like as society we can be able to make a difference in those things. Talking about racism, being around Gauteng and working with different nationalities or people of different races on a daily basis, I get to see white people who are racist and white people who are not. And the best way to see that this person is racist or not, they can be your colleague. Maybe you have a white colleague that you get along at work. Maybe by chance you happen to be at their house. The way their children treat you, it shows if they are racist or not. If they are not racist, when you get there, like the kids will be welcoming. I remember I was with this other colleague of mine. We went to collect something he bought on Facebook from this white guy. When we got there, like their kids were so welcoming. They were by our car since we got there until we left. Like these kids, they were like real Africans. Like they showed us respect and things like that. But you get to interact with other white people, their children will not even greet you. But that's what shows that they've been taught racism at home. You can even see on social media platforms there are kids who can who knows the K word. They even say it to other black kids. Where did they learn that? Because those things happened back in apartheid, not now. It's because they have been taught racism. So things like racism, discrimination, like all these things that divides people, we are taught from younger age. And growing up, I experienced that, and I feel like it's not a good thing. So wherever we are in different communities, I encourage you guys, let's teach our young ones to treat everyone equally, regardless of their color, their skin, their gender, whatever, because it gets to affect these kids as they grow up, because we are bullied just because of our color, because of your language, and you didn't choose to speak that language. You didn't choose to be black or white. So why should you be bullied for that? So as a society, we must be willing to teach our kids, more especially when they are still young, going to the preschool, going to the primary, that because now we are living in a multiracial society. So we must be able to all belong together and be one thing. I think one thing that I noticed at primary, our talents start to become revealed. Because that's when I started singing. I started singing while I was in grade 6. I started singing at church. I think I was about 12 years in 2006. And in 2007, they started a school choir. I was doing grade 7 and I sang there. It was great. Like my talent, I realized that I love singing. And it started when I was early in my primary days, actually singing. And in 2004, we started Bakhalaka Choir, our family choir. Me and my siblings, we were singing at family gatherings until today. Whatever kind of gatherings we have at home, we sing. So at that stage, that's where you start to become self-aware. What am I good at? What am I not good at? Because I remember some of my friends were good at playing soccer. My brother had a soccer team. I was part of it, and I knew very well that I'm not a type that can play soccer. I'd go there during the week. Friday, when they're going to play soccer, I'm going to the choir practice. I'll pass there, going to the choir practice. It was kind of embarrassing, but I was comfortable. I was doing it, and I was really enjoying it. Now, those were just the early stages of growing up. Now, real life comes when we go into high school. Now I'm a teenager. I think I was 14 when I was doing grade 8. So I was a teenager. One of the greatest things that happened during my high school days is that I went to Mahoka High School. It's a boarding school, so like kids from different areas get to come there. So now kids from Bolovedu were there. Like I met my brother Sevo Mamche Remy, a lot of guys like family friends from Bolobedu. So we were able to group ourselves as Balobedu. You see, that's what happened even here in South Africa, because people, when they come from all over the world, when they come here, it doesn't matter if back in their countries they were united. They stick together. So that's what we did at school. We were united as brothers from Bolobedu. Even the ladies from Bolobedu, you'll see them grouping themselves. Even people from Skukuni, from where. So those kind of things, yes, it's good to unite with people from your home, but as a whole, we must also be one. And that's where now I started becoming comfortable, talking too much, being hyperactive. And I was also continuing with my love for music. I joined the Mahoka High School Choir. And it was interesting from 2008 until, because I took about 7 years at Mahoka. The entire 7 years I was singing the choir. Like, it was my happy place. Although I was shy, but when I'm at the choir, I'm happy and comfortable. Even when I'm in class, when I'm with my guys, my friends from home, like I was just comfortable. Drama. Where did the drama start? Because in my adolescent stages, as a teenager, that's where a lot of things happened in my life. You know, when I was preparing for this podcast, I thought it was just gonna be a short episode, but I realized, Revan, I've been through a lot of things. I don't even know what to where to start. But I think when you get to high school, you start losing some of your friends. And people must understand, sometimes losing friends is not because you fought or what. Because when I got to high school, I went full time to the choir. It means after school, I'm going to the choir practice. Some of my friends went full time to soccer. It means after school, they're going to play soccer. So we no longer have time for one another because of our different talents. I think that's something that even people today fail to adapt to, because they feel like if someone like, now we are moving to different stages in life and we no longer have time for each other, it means we are fighting. We are not fighting. It's normal that when you grow, you will outgrow some people because of where you are in life. That's a reality that we must be able to make. So that's something that when I reflect, I remember some of my friends, a lot of my friends that I grew up with as kids, and we were really good friends. Even today, we're still good brothers. Nothing, we're not fighting. So we started going different directions, and I had different friends who are part of the choir. And it was interesting being member of the choir, because that's where I was able to be myself, because I love singing. Now dating started. Mojolo the dating. I think I started Hojola in 2009. I was doing grade 9. I don't know why I failed, because my year was moving nicely. Grade 1, 2001. So grade 9, I was doing grade. 2009, I was doing grade 9. I had my first girlfriend, but it was just playing, because I was about 15 years old. So we were just playing. It was just mba kissing there and there, kissing. We did nothing hectic. Yeah, but it was interesting just to play around as a little boy, trying things around. I think real Mojolo for me started in 2010 when I was doing grade 10. That's where I lost this thing of grade 10, 2010. It's the year that I failed. In March, I fell in love with this lady. I will name her Rihanna for the purpose, for the sake of the podcast today. Let's say her name is Rihanna. This beautiful lady was doing grade 7. I was doing grade 10. but we were the same age. Due to her problems, family challenges that she had to go through, she was delayed with school. And that time, go see the primary school, they were doing Chiscop like this. Boys and girls, it was Chiscop. So she had that Chiscop and it really looked good on her. But in my class, my friends were laughing at me that I'm dating a little kid. They were laughing that Chiscop. But I was so in love, man. I didn't care. Like after school, I wanna go Kwenani after school. There will be a lot of taxis. People are going to Teflop, Nobody, Ramalepo, those kind of places. And I'll be there with her in my high school uniform, and she'll be in that green and yellow uniform. I didn't care, like literally. The following day, they laugh at me at school. So it was nice for me dating her. We dated for 3 months. It's the lady that broke my virginity. Is there such thing as virginity to us men? I don't know, but we broke each other's virginity, and I started to be sexually active, like for 3 months. It was too long for us. 3 months. The relationship was fire. It was those days of Megxit. The relationship was fire. Like it was beautiful. I enjoyed the relationship. I would walk to her place with my friend, very far from home, just to go and see her. And when her grandmother goes out to go and stock for the business, I get in the house. Yo. Eh, kgale re felega, man. So it was those days of Megxit. I met this girl on Megxit. Let me name her Beyonce. The first one was Rihanna, ne? And the other one is Beyonce. So meeting Beyonce, it was very interesting. I really like. Oh, first thing, before I know who she is, she was catfishing me on Megxit. She came with the handle Lady B. I still remember her handle. Rihanna's handle on Megxit. It was her name Licious, like Mashao Licious. on Yeah, like now I started chatting with Lady B. For the sake of podcast, her name is Beyonce. She's busy catfishing me there. She say we're gonna meet. When I go there, she's not there. She's playing with me and things like that. But fast forward, we ended up dating. I ended up knowing who she is, and she was a beautiful girl staying at the hostel, Koma Hoka. Uh, we started dating. That time I still have Rihanna. You. So I enjoyed this one, and I broke up with my first girlfriend, and very harshly so. I was only 16 years old. Only 16 years old. The things that I did to that girl, I still regret even today. Because like it's just I started accusing her for things that doesn't exist. And I was so bad. I don't wanna lie. I had some pictures in my phone of her half naked body. And I shared them with this boy, and that boy shared them all over. Like she would walk embarrassed. The things that we did as kids. I'm really not proud of myself for doing that, but I think I've learned my lesson because later on I did apologize and I felt very sorry. And she was someone who had like serious problems, and she shared everything with me. She trusted me. She loved me, but I just decided to leave her like that and move on to another girl. This new girl that I met, the relationship was fire, man. It was a power relationship. I think I've always had a lack of having power relationships from my childhood. It was such a beautiful relationship that people envied. Like older guys wanted my girlfriend. They will threaten me, and I didn't care. I will keep on dating her. It was such a beautiful relationship the entire of 2010 until 2011. Something in 2011 happened, in my relationship with Beyonce, because the previous one I said it's Rihanna, with this new lady that I had, that I loved. Something tragic. I don't know if I can say tragic or what, but something happened and the relationship had to end at the end, and my heart was broken. So my lesson with this whole thing at this stage of my life is that I realized that what goes around comes around. What I did to my first love, actually, it came back to me in a different way, and my heart was really, really broken. And I went back to my first love and apologized and be like, but she didn't want me anymore. She didn't want anything to do with me. It took her so many years for her to forgive me, actually, just to say, I've forgiven you, because what I did to her was really, 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 was really bad. So what happened to me and this beautiful lady that everyone envied our relationship, as I was sexually active, moved to the next relationship, I'm sexually active. And you know what happened? There was this time, ne? you know, I didn't want to share this story, but let me share. There was this time, me and my girlfriend, like, we are dating and romanati, and she's like, hey man, I feel like I'm pregnant. I was like, you are not, man. Last week you were on your periods. Pella, in LO, they taught us that once you are on your periods, it means you are not pregnant. Pella was a smart kid. So, but I think I told my friends that, you know what, my girlfriend thinks she's pregnant. So one of my friends, what he did, he went to her and put her ear on her belly. And he told the other guys, I'm fit to kidney it. So that thing got into her. She didn't know that I told those guys. So she started feeling pregnant, very. Yo, no, I'm telling her, man, you are not pregnant. So she's like, we'll go and test. Yeah, we'll go and check at the clinic. So this other morning, it was on a Friday, she calls me in her class. I was doing grade 10 for the second time. She was doing grade 9. She calls me in her class. She gave me a letter. When I read that letter, it's a suicidal letter, man. Like, to her parents and family, that they took her to school and then she was not responsible enough. She ended up falling pregnant. So she's afraid to face them. So the only thing that she can do is to take her life. Angwala a re se fela ke na le modis. Yo, I was like, then I tell her, please don't do this. Please, I beg you, don't do that. And she was like, no, the reason I show you this letter is because I regret. I'm not going to do it. Okay. I was okay with that. And after school, I was with her. We were talking, but because we were that trending relationship, that beautiful relationship, that people loved. So when they pass and they see like these people are talking and they are not getting along, I was busy telling her, like, if you commit this thing, if you go and hit yourself by a car, you won't die. How can I poison? If you shoot yourself, you won't die. Don't do this. You're going to harm yourself. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. People see that, okay, these people, it's like they're fighting. Then she goes to the hostel. Now the matron saw us, and the matron was disciplining every kid. So she didn't allow kids to be in relationships. So she goes to the matron to ask for the pass out to go home. They used to call it Ferlof, go hostel. So she's asking for the pass to go home that day. So it was on a Friday. The matron was like, no, you're not going anywhere. So she takes out her phone. She was using Nokia N70. If you are a 90s kid, you remember that cell phone very well. So She calls her dad and she gives it to Metron so that her dad can confirm that yes, she's coming home. Metron, Yena, start talking or your kid. He's busy going around with boys. Yeah. She's talking all crazy things. No, out of fear and respect for her dad, she had to to grab the phone from the matron's here, and the phone fell down. The matron slapped her. Now she picks up the phone. She left. She went to her room, and then she went to, at the back of the hostel rooms. There was, like, they were renovating the school, so they took all the classes into a pit there. So she personalized or a scoting. Scoting simply means a pit. She personalized that on her cell phone. She does a call back to, I think, to her two of her friends. Or if you want me, you'll find me go scoting. Then she takes those bottles and stab herself. Yo. Now, when they found her bleeding, things like that. Now they are running around like, I think they took her with a wheelbarrow. The people were still playing soccer there. The coach took her to Mankweng Hospital. It was Friday. Now I'm home. I don't know what's happening because after I spoke to her. Now I'm going to the choir practice at 4. I'm surprised that everyone from hostel is looking at me. Why are they looking at me like that? What's happening? Hey, I start to be worried. 2 of my friends, Charles and Batlatz, they called me, Charles, they follow Batlatz and they'd be like, hey, Warra. While they were still trying to explain, like, I was just like, hey, bro, don't tell me, guys. Don't tell me. I think I know what you want to tell me. I moved up there to the toilet. Some of her friends, female friends, they come to me and be like, Mashao, so and so did 1, 2, 3. Yo, I cried, man. I cried. And I went home immediately before the choir practice get end. I went home. I went to my room. I cried and I slept. The following day in the morning, my mom was reprimanding me for glue. This episode is going to be long. My mom was reprimanding me for glue, ne? So she's surprised that I'm crying. She's busy talking. Me, I'm crying. She's talking, I'm crying. She's talking about the glue thing. She found glue maybe in my room, something like that. I'm crying. Like, she's like, now, my son, what's happening? Then I started explaining to her that, hey, I think that's the first time in my life where I learned to be accountable. I took accountability of my actions. I was like, Mom, I did 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, now I believe that she's pregnant. And I was the one who was saying, you are not pregnant. Like, I'm like, if you're pregnant, please go to her family. What? And she's like, no, calm down, boy. Man, it was a very bad morning for me that day. On Saturday, I had long hair and I asked her money to go and cut my hair. She gave me 14 rand. This friend of mine called Prince Atlara, and he's like, bro, what happened? Then I'm telling her, bro, I don't know anything. He's like, let's go and visit her to the hospital. A supportive friend. Ravaya, I take that money. The taxi fare at that time, it was 7 rand from Boyne to Tefluop. I think right now it's more expensive. Yeah, it was around 7 rand. So 14 rand was enough for one person to go to Tefluop and come back. You know what we did? We walked. That guy said, bro, let's walk. We walked. If you know Vaiki, yo, it was very hard for us. We walked until we got to Mankweng Hospital. It's about almost 20 kilometers from my home. About 20 kilometers. And we got there, we looked for her, we couldn't find her. I was so mad. We looked for her. I asked people, I tell her her name and surname. They say this person is not here. We go to different wards. They say this person is not here. We had to go back now. We are tired. And when we went back, we got into a taxi at the hospital when it stops. Guess what? We got off without paying. Hey, these boys. But we had the body and we were able to I was able to cut my hair with that body. So we went to Teflop and back for free. I was not myself that entire weekend, and until Monday when I went to school. This thing of me being known by many people didn't start today. Started long time ago, because that story spreaded all over until places like Bosishiro. People were talking about it everywhere. I think if it was the days of your TikTok and social media platforms the way it was going to be trending, Papa, because everyone was talking about it. I hear that people are talking about it. People are talking about what happened at Mahok. On Monday, when I went to school, it was like a showstopper event. When I got there, everybody was looking at me. And also, Papa. But that day was very quiet. I got into my class. The class went quiet. It was just my steps. Until I sat down and I slept on my table. Then they started talking. I was so stressed until on Tuesday she called me and she was like, "Bro, I'm okay." I'm okay and I'm not pregnant. Then I tell her, man, on Saturday I was there at the hospital. She's like, "God, I was also there." She tells me about there was this kind of a person's family and I saw that guy there. I was like, I don't know why I couldn't see you, but I was relieved. That was my story for this relationship. I was relieved that she's okay and I was trending, but I didn't care anymore because she's like, I'm okay. They took me to a private hospital and they checked me. I'm not pregnant and things like that. I was low. Phew. But what makes me surprised that now is I didn't care. I was ready to take accountability. I was ready to be a father at 17 years old. Man, I know that child would have been older. Imagine how old that child would have been now. But only God knows, man. It was an interesting lesson for me. Now, a lot of things got involved and our relationship was no longer the same. And even when she came back, the relationship ended and I was so heartbroken. I was so heartbroken. I don't want to lie because I really loved her, but I just took it as, what goes around comes around. This is what I did to my ex. Now it's coming back to me. I took it like that and I was like, it's fine. It's life. But after many years, we are okay. Like me and Beyonce, this one, we even talk. She's on my WhatsApp statuses. I still have a contact. We are in good contact and nothing hectic. We've grown up now. When we look back, it was just a matter of growing up. And I think that's where I got too deep into substances. I started smoking cigarette when I was ahead because of this relationship. Honestly speaking, when things were crusty, I started smoking cigarette and I started enjoying it. But with glue, as I mentioned that I started it earlier. I didn't start glue because of problems, charge, and the relationship. I started glue by myself. What was happening is that I was hanging around with people who smoke glue and things like that. So in my family, uh, like they accused me that I smoked glue, and I was not smoking glue. I was just hanging around with people who did. So they reprimanded me at home. They shouted at me, dealt with me in a proper way, how a kid must be dealt with. I was like, you know what? What's one because already Barry it's about glue. I went and tried it. Yo, that thing was very nice. But I'm not encouraging anyone to go and smoke glue. That thing is very dangerous. Imagine glue coming inside. I remember like when we were coughing, like sometimes things that were coming out, like, yo, I wouldn't smoke that thing again in my life. But you know what was happening with us when we were smoking glue? Like, you take it, you put it in a plastic, plate plastic. If you are a newbie, just put it in like smaller yarn. Those who were fully in, they put the whole container of glue inside them. And so when we're doing that, you smoke. It's like you're going to reach some kind of an orgasm. I don't know what it is, because you start feeling nice. Your blood is flowing in a different way, and then in your head you hear like I would hear something saying. Trrrr. Then that thing starts saying ta ta ta. It reduces the speed. When it reduces the speed to ta 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 ta, boom, you switch off, you start hallucinating, you start seeing things. You'll see interesting things. Like some people would see lions and they will run. People will see snakes. People will see all sorts of things. I remember at home there was this camping caravan. So I'd go to that caravan to smoke the glue. Kitsube. So like when I start hallucinating, I remember there was this day where I saw like all the girls from school, all the girls from hostel, they were at my home and they were in bikinis and bras. Like it was some like pool party vibes, you see. Like, and I open that door, I come out like, and I'm walking like a king, man. It was crazy. So I remember this other time I was smoking in my room at night. You remember back in the days when the Somalians and Pakistans arrived in South Africa, they will go door to door selling blankets. So I smoke, then it does everything. And then when I started hallucinating, when I started seeing things, I see Indian guys like Somalian guys entering my home and they are knocking at the main door. So I reply to them and be like, hey, try next door. Try next door. So inside the house, because I was in the back room, inside the house, they tried to answer me. Mashao Orig. I'm busy saying when they reply, I say try next door. To me, I hear those guys who are selling blankets outside, and I'm telling them, hey, go and try next door. They say this person is crazy. When they come to my room, yo, bahwecha glue. They found like plastic of bread and glue, and my mom was very disappointed. If there's someone that I really owe my entire life, it's my mom. That lady really prayed for me. If there's one thing that she did, she prayed for me to become a better person, because they will talk to me. They will, after I've done those crazy things, my dad will summon me. I have to go and meet him there. When I go to him, I will dress in a suit, in a church way, in a proper way. Go there to him like I'm a good boy. And then he will reprimand me. And then the next thing, I go back. So my lessons from being a teenager is that relationship-wise, you make a lot of mistakes. And the mistakes that I did during that time, even today, I can still learn from them. And people that you hang around with have a lot of impact in your life. I started smoking glue because of the people that I was hanging around with. Even cigarette. I was with this friend of mine in Postlab. I was like, boy, let's go and try the cigarette. We went to the mountain and we tried it. But here I was the one who initiated, or let's go and try it. But he tried it before. So he was the one who was showing me how to smoke a cigarette. And now every time when I was hurt because of that relationship that I was telling you about, I will I will need a cigarette. I will need a cigarette. And I became addicted. Then I started drinking alcohol. Like I went deep into substance abuse. From being a problematic boy in relationships, doing things, trending and things like that. Now I'm this boy who's smoking cigarettes, who's drinking alcohol, who's smoking glue. Then I got introduced to dacha, to weed. You know, when I smoked weed in class, it was crazy. Like I think this thing of me of being a character, of being an artist, it was visible when I was high on weed because we would smoke glue. When we go back to class, my friends will sleep. Me, I will entertain the entire class. I will talk to them. I'll be there. Like, you see, sometimes we have talents and they just need to be directed properly. Because I'll be talking to the class, I'll be teaching the class, addressing the class, singing, doing whatever, crazy things and talking nonsense. When teachers are teaching, I'm just talking crazy things because of the influence of weed, because of the influence of glue and all these crazy things that I was doing. My experience with alcohol, I remember I nearly got arrested in 2011. We were writing our final exam. I was repeating grade 10. So there was a spaza shop in my street. So the guy who was working there, we would drink alcohol with him. So he called his friends to come and pick us up. I still remember the car that we drove with. It was a Honda Palade, see this long one. And then it came. Then we went to a place at Teflop. It was called Mudali. I don't know if that establishment is still there and it's still called Mudali. We went there. We were drinking Heineken, Olemanat. And you know what I did every time when we go out at night with my friends? Because at my opposite, it was I had a friend by the name Disem. We did a lot of things together. So we would go with that guy who was selling at the shop. We called him a mad. I forgot his real name. Yeah, we called him a mad. Then his friends come, they take us. So when they come at night, maybe we're in the house because my room is outside. I'm just telling my family that I'm going to sleep. Then you know what I do? I go and open my door and I hit it very hard. Boom. Then I walk out. I lock it, then I walk out. So they would think I'm sleeping. Can't you know, man? This boy is out there having fun, drinking alcohol at night. That time, the following day, I have an exam to sit on, a final exam in grade 10, and I'm repeating that grade 10. So we went there, we had fun. When we left, we are drunk. We went to Paledi, Sasol Garage, then to pour some petrol and buy some things, some cigarettes. Then when we driving back home, there was a police car behind us. I just think that police car is doing whatever that is doing. When we got to Ramakanye, the robot at University of Limpopo corner, like there were police cars, about 3 of them coming back on our left-hand side, about another 3 or 4 coming back from our right-hand side. Behind us, it was no longer one police van. It was about 2 to 3. I don't remember, but we were stopped by so many police with rifles pointing at us. Evan, what's happening? Can't you know, man? They suspected that that car was stolen. So they were approaching real criminals. That time we are all drunk, like we are surprised. It's around 2 a.m. in the morning. So they took the driver. The driver does not even have a driver's license. He's drunk. So he started explaining the story of the car to them. They even made some calls. I forgot, but they end up understanding that no, it's not a stolen car. Then we were free. But me and my friend, we were not shocked. We were just making jokes with them. Like, I remember telling them, if we were driving a Kusheshe, a BMW, you were not going to catch us. We were so unbothered. So the police now escorted us home. I don't know what happened, but we got there. That guy went to the shop. He came with a lot of coins and gave them the money. They released us. I went home like at around 3 a.m. Imagine I'm sleeping in the morning. I have an exam. Then when I wake up, I bath. It's like nothing happened during the night. Like my parents think the boy was in the house. Kantilomund nearly got to jail. And I move. When I go to school, I pass by the spaza shop. I get a glass of wine or whatever alcohol that was there. When I get to school, I'm problematic. I remember answering a cell phone in an exam, and the teacher was inside, and I was telling, "Hey, ma'am, this call is very important." And they were like, "Who can pass away?" But I passed. One thing about me, I was very diligent. Like, Pella, I didn't study hard. Even during my matric, I didn't study like how other students were studying. And I passed. So I remember in January coming back telling, hey, where did you fail? I passed. I was so problematic. Like, looking back into my life, a lot of things could have gone wrong. I would have been killed because I remember at some point we were working with like people who are killers, people who are dangerous, people who are known for being dangerous with knives, people who go around carrying guns. And ah, those people, we envied them. They were like our role models. And that's why we were problematic. So I don't encourage young people to take the route that I took at that stage, because a lot of people whom I was doing those things with, now their lives are so sad. Like, their nyope is like, it's bad. I think I survived by my mom's prayers. I saw some quote somewhere, but they say it's never by luck, it's by God's grace. I think I survived by God's praise, by my mother's prayers. So don't try these things because you don't know where you'll end up. Others, yes, will survive and come here and start podcasts and start becoming motivational speakers about their lives. You don't know if that is your route. So don't go into it and be like, Mara, Mosibo Mashao, they did it and they are okay. You will regret. You will regret. I honestly regret doing the things that I did during those days. So those were my crusty moments at high school. And I'm not proud. But how did I manage? The question is, how did I manage to quit all those things? I think my one thing that really helped me to be able to quit is the changing of circle, changing of the people that I hang around with. And one other thing, during this time of doing a lot of crazy things, I have so many stories for days that I can share for the whole 2 hours or 3 hours. But during those days when I was doing crusty things, bad things because of alcohol, because of girls, because of whatever crazy things, my love for God never changed, honestly. I would go to the choir every weekend. I would go to the school choir and I'll be participating 100%. So, uh, with alcohol, I don't remember the day I stopped drinking alcohol. I think from between 2013 and 2014, because I just stopped because I didn't have time to go and drink alcohol. And then with cigarette, you know how I quit cigarette. It was really tough because nicotine is very, very addictive. So I would smoke. I remember there was a time I quit for about 3 months and I went back. It took me the whole year. Every day, Kiri, this is my last cigarette. But because I changed my circle, the new guys, the new friends that I had didn't know that I was smoking. So I was doing it privately. wherever I am, because sometimes I'll smoke in public and people will be like, yo, I didn't expect that you are smoking. And it will make me feel bad because na vele khale batho ba ntsiba bona. So like I'm someone who was known by people, a lot of people that I don't know. So when they see me do those things, they will come to me, some of them, wow, I'm disappointed. This thing that it doesn't suit you. So I started smoking in private, smoking in private until I just took a decision or no what. Today is my last day. It was not an easy decision. In 2014, I was doing matric and I did quit smoking. And it's one of the moments that I'm proud of in my life, being able to quit cigarette, because I see a lot of guys smoking. They really need to quit, but it's not easy, Wafid. It's really tough. So if you get into these things, they are really addictive. And we are fortunate during our times, there was no like things like Nyaope, they were not trending. Drugs were not trending in my area. I know in some areas drugs were a thing. But where I was, drugs were not a thing. Like I could have been worse. But by the grace of our Lord God, I think that's why I ended up where I ended up. And from 2014, I never looked back. So now I'm celebrating 10 years. Wow. Of quitting substance abuse, alcohol, cigarettes, weed, glue, like it just got out of fashion. We all quit it. I think at early stages, it got out of fashion, right? Tlogela? Because during those days when we were smoking glue, people were smoking things. We will smoke petrol. People were smoking benzene, a lot of crazy things, people that were smoking. And after that, they will do crazy, like madness things. So I'm grateful that I see some guys whom we were doing these crazy things with. Their lives are better. They managed to quit. They managed to become better people. I am not the only one. I am proud of you, brothers, who managed to quit because it was really bad. So that is my story about my high school days, my teenage years, because if you can check in 2014, then it means I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old and it was my time of quitting a lot of things. Now I moved to tertiary. What is my life like in tertiary? My life after matric was really interesting. Like I went to the college to study mechanical engineering. It was supposed to take me like 2 years, N1 up to N6, is trimesters, but it took me about 3 years. What I've learned from that is that I think that's where I started having a relationship with failure. I know in high school I was failing. I failed twice, failed grade 10 once, grade 11 once, but because I was just that boy, like I didn't care. But in college, that's when I started to know what, okay, I'll fail this thing. Tomorrow I'm gonna pass. And I studied mechanical engineering, ne? But when I completed it, now I'm not in the engineering sector. I'm not an artisan, I'm not a technician, I'm not an engineer. I'm nothing related to mechanical engineering. So it taught me that we plan, but God decide. It was my plan to become mechanical engineer one of the good days, because I was going to start as an artisan, become technician, what's or not, until I get to that stage. But it didn't work out that way, because after I completed, I went looking for in-service training, struggling to get it. I got an opportunity to work with my brother at Auto Premium Center. Yeah, Auto Premium Center is the name of the workshop by Khabo Mabe. We were working on VWs and Audis. That's where I realized that, wow, I just love cars. I'm not a handy person. I studied mechanical engineering because I love cars. But I didn't know I can love cars and not be a mechanical engineer, and not be a mechanic or an artisan or whatever. Because whenever I was supposed to work on the engine, take out parts and do things like that. It was really difficult for me. It was really difficult for me. I ended up driving customers' cars, which was a very good experience for me because now I get to drive your GTIs. I remember one of the greatest experience that I had. This client from Santen, because the workshop is in Cosmo City. Like, yeah. So this client brought a Golf 5 R32. So I had to drive them back to Santen and come back with that car. Yo, the sound, like I was just enjoying driving those cars. Then I realized, oh no, man, here I'm wasting my time because I'm not a handy person. I cannot become an artisan. I cannot become a mechanic or what so not. So it means I must further my studies or do whatever. Then I ended up doing something different that my brother applied for me. I didn't want to work there. Now I'm working there full time and I'm passionate about my new work. It's a different field that maybe I'll share with you one of the good days. Now I'm not in a good space to share what I'm currently doing. In life, you choose what you share and what you're not sharing. So that's one thing. That's the first thing that I learned after matric, that you can plan, but God decide. And you can learn to have a relationship with failure, because I knew that if I'm failing this module, next trimester, I'm definitely going to work hard to pass. Even in life, it's like that. You might try to do something. If it's not working out, you have to keep on doing it until you become successful in that thing. So that was my greatest lesson. And from 21 years, I became so responsible at home because I've quit all those crazy things. I really became responsible at home because I remember in 2016, my younger sister was now diagnosed with depression with borderline personality disorder because she was a victim of rape at 8 years old. That we only got to find out when she was doing matric. Imagine, when she was way older. And it really affected us in the family, whereby everything had to stop for us to look after her. And everyone, from my father, my mother, our siblings, like everybody was so supportive. My sister got her first car in 2014, a Renault Clio. Like, I think a lot of people who knew me that time, they thought that car was mine. Like, I would drive around with that car, like running errands, like taking care of my sister, taking care of family matters as young as 21 years, 22 years old. And I remember at some point, me and my sister will fight for that car as if we pop out 50-50 to buy it. That's how we really got along, me and Sis Kuju. So yeah, I became more responsible. Although it's not like I was now 100% responsible. I was a boy at some point, but the family circumstances made me to now become more responsible. I got to learn about things like depression, like all mental health issues. I got to learn about sexual offenses. And it was hard for me to understand these things, and being able to live with someone who has those conditions. It was very, very tricky for a couple of years. At some point, she was staying with me at Seshiro. I was looking after her. So a lot of things happened in my early 20s. In my early 20s, that I think they made me to be more responsible. As I mentioned, that from primary to high school, you lose friends, you start having new friends. And even from high school to tertiary, you start having new circle. And I had like amazing brothers in my life. I think in 2015, that's where Moyake Oti was literally founded. That's where this movement started. Why? Because I had these brothers of mine, like they will come and sleep in my room, rarely about 8, 10, more than 10 in my room. because of some reasons. So when we are there, we are being creative, we're doing a lot of things. And in everything that we were doing, we would say moyake oti. Like this word moyake oti, we used it in everything that we do. Moyake oti, moyake oti, then it stick into me. And I realized that when people are united and they do something in unity, they get to become successful. They get to do greater things in society. So I think that's where Moyake Ote started. That's where Moyake Ote was established. And even now, I still appreciate those guys. Like as we grow, we might no longer be that close like we were back in those days. It's simple thing that I learned from primary to high school that you cannot have people in your life forever. We're still good brothers. I still apply a lot of things that I learned from them in my personal life, in the things that I worked on. And I will continue to appreciate those people in my life. So you see now in my 20s, I'm learning like I'm learning a real life lessons and I'm becoming more responsible. So relationship wise, because I know someone is asking themselves like, what did you do? Because the last time you spoke about your relationship in 2011. Yeah, I was having relationships throughout, but one interesting thing about me that I really appreciate is that from when I was 22 until 29, I was literally in one relationship. I spent most of my 20s in one relationship, and it made me to be grounded. I didn't move around, looking at the responsibilities that I had, looking at the person that I was. I really needed to have only one person because I was going to be distracted if I had multiple partners. And that's one thing that I encourage everyone, wherever you are. Please stick to one partner. It won't be perfect, but it can save you a lot of drama into your life. And although that relationship ended for whatever reasons, but I really appreciate that I had only one relationship for so many years. It made me to be focused in the things that I wanted to do. Like those who know me, they know I like to say the boy is focused. So it made me to stay focused, honestly. And I learned a lot of things about life, and it played a very important role in my life. I'll forever respect and cherish the relationship that I had with my ex. Now, being 29 and breaking up with my partner, I won't share much about this one, but one of the greatest lessons I learned is that it had to happen. It was supposed to happen like the way it happened. You know, some people in our lives are there for a season, are there for a certain purpose. When it's done, it's done. You know, past few months ago, I saw someone on social media platforms. They wrote that if you get married before you turn 30, just know that you are preparing for your first divorce. No, I want to disagree, honestly. I want to disagree with that because there are people who met very young and they grow older together. There are people who met older and they divorced. So there's no a memorandum, there's no a manual for these relationships. As long as you do it the right way, you do it properly, you get to learn. So now with me, from the foundation of my relationship, from where it ended, I've learned a lot of lessons, and hopefully I'll be able to apply these lessons in my life as I move forward. And one of the things that I have to appreciate now is that I now got time to be single. You know, from 16 years, this boy was never single. That's crazy. I remember previously when I was talking about singleness, this lady was like, "Hey, Weda, you are an ambassador of singleness." Yeah. I think today I've answered you. Uh, One thing that I appreciate from me being single, from 2023 until today is because I'm now having an opportunity for my singleness. I get time to work on myself, to the things that I wasn't going to be able to work on myself when I had someone. And the problem is that I spent my entire, like, my late teenagers to my late 20s being in relationships. Like, it doesn't end. Before it ends, already you've entered. So those things are not good for us. So I believe you have learned a lot from my life, from when I was a kid until where I am. There's a lot of, because I've even forgot that I entered the music industry in 2020. I think I was 26 years old. And it was amazing. I met people like Fortune Pora. I met new people in my life, and we are moving this thing. And I'm in the entertainment industry. I have music online now. I have a podcast. Like, I'm still moving forward. And from the lessons that I learned as a kid, from the lessons that I learned as a teenager in my early 20s to where I am today, I'll be able to apply them in my life. And I believe that I'm definitely going to achieve a lot of things that I really need to achieve in my life. When I first got to the college, we were at La Palale on our queue for registrations. I remember telling people on the queue that I want to have 6 cars. We were talking about cars and things like that. They started calling me 6 cars. I really loved that name. Now I have two. I'm still moving. I'm still moving. I need 4 more and many more cars because I'm passionate about cars. I love cars. I love cars. And one thing that I want to tell you, wherever you are, don't be afraid to tell yourself, "Horing, I'm going to achieve whatever that you want to achieve." You know what my psychologist said to me this week? She said that, like, she was telling me that you must visit Dubai. It's very hot there. What we were talking about the weather, and she was like, "In Dubai, it's very hot. You must visit there and see." I was like, "Yo, it's expensive." She's like, "Yeah, your brain. When you tell your brain that this thing is expensive, it's expensive. But if you tell your brain that I'm definitely going to go to Dubai, you will go there." So now I'm telling you guys, this platform will become one of the greatest globally. And I will have those 6 cars and beyond. I'll reach everything that I'm supposed to reach in my life. So, guys, this was the longest episode ever. Well, I'm turning 30, guys. I'm turning 30. I can snip up and place to be this old. And thank you to everybody who has been supportive in my life from my childhood until today. And the people who are still around, the people who are now distance from me, I appreciate you guys. Sometimes it's because of life. It's not like we're fighting and stuff. We are family. I don't know what I've forgotten, but then this was an amazing and interesting episode. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. I appreciate you guys. And until we meet again, may God bless you. Tango.